Getaway Day. As always, I am Mason. He is Gautam. And there's not a magic bar in between us. I can smack him right across the face if I want to. I won't.
Why
I'll
would
be
you
nice.
want to do that?
Well, it depends what you say about baseball today.
Wow.
Maybe we get in a fight.
Sounds like a threat.
More like a promise.
Okay.
Yeah. No, so we actually got the opportunity to do a pod together in person, live pod, which we very rarely get the opportunity to do. So you may have noticed it's been a hot minute since we put out an episode. We're going to take advantage of that. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of stuff we won't be able to cover in this particular episode because we don't have the time. So, with the postseason going, that's going to be our focus. We will come back to all of the massive news like Terry Francona, Buster Posey,
All kinds of news.
Charlie Blackmon getting the truck from that sits in left field to Coors Field as his retirement gift.
Huh.
Things like
I
that.
didn't even know about that.
Exactly. There's been so much going on. So we'll come back to all that here in a future episode. There's plans to get it up sooner than later. But today, we have to talk about the postseason because the wild card series has already happened. All 4 series are done. Today is an off day. We're recording this on Friday. And we head into the division series tomorrow. So, Gautam, first of all, how are you doing?
Wow. On screen.
On-screen handshake.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right before I smack you across.
Now I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah.
So, what has been your impression so far of the wild card series before we get into any of the individual matchups?
Well, if we learned one thing just based on the results, it seems like if you win game 1, you're in great shape based on now 3 years running of this format where the team that takes game 1 has won all but 2 series, I think.
And I believe there's only 2 series. I thought there were only 2 series that went to a third game in the 3 years.
It's very few. Yeah, it's like 2 or 3.
So I think, if anything, it was only one series where the team that didn't win game 1 won it. Because yesterday, we saw this year's 3-game series where the Mets took game 1. They took last night's game as well. So I think there's only one time that if you haven't won the first game of the 3-game series, you moved on.
Yeah, that very well may be true. So do you think that's an actual flaw of the setup, or is it just we've only seen 3 years of it and it's too early to tell if it's just going to be like that going forward?
So I kind of think it's just something that we haven't had enough data to look at yet, because there's nothing inherently that says that, like, having home field advantage in a 3-game series is going to guarantee you a win, because we see enough data in the regular season where that's not the case. Teams get swept at home or lose series at home, not incredibly often. Like, there is a home field advantage. It does give you a leg up, and I mean that's kind of the point of home field advantage anyway, is to give you a little bit of a leg up because you perform better in the regular season.
This year, though, the home field advantage, as we saw in the AL series, both the Tigers and the Royals went on the road and they won their 2 games.
And the Mets went on the road and 1-3.
Exactly, yeah. So the home field advantage, I feel like, is a very slight edge in baseball compared to other sports. So it's not like that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm just thinking, is there something inherently in the advantage of having that first game where the other team is not able to they're just at a disadvantage because the other team can have 2 chances to win?
Well, and that's what it is it's statistics, it's odds. Like, in a 3-game series, you take the first one, chances are you're gonna win. You have 2 shots to win it, and like, especially with the away teams here, like, you get first crack every game. So if you take an early lead, the team who's down in the series, or the home team loses game 1, they go down early in game 2. then they're fighting back in game 2. They already have lower odds to win that game, and it makes it a lot easier to take it at 2. Like if it were a 5-game series, it would be a little bit less so because there's less pressure. You're pushing less. And so that second game, that third game, even maybe, you're not necessarily pressing. So I think that's ultimately what it is. I don't necessarily think it's a flaw in the system. I think it's just an unfortunate part of being down.
Yeah. And as we know in baseball, anything can happen in a 3-game series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think teams are going to end up winning more of these in 3 games, or the team that wins or loses game 1 is still going to be able to win a series.
Yeah, because I mean, it's hard to say what would happen if these went to 3 games, if it would be a 3-game sweep. Like if we force them to play all 3. Because what's the percentage of, I know you don't have this number off the top of your head, but like, what's the percentage of regular season 3-game series that end up in a sweep?
Not a lot. I mean, it's not a crazy.
Like they happen.
Yeah.
But what's the percentage of 3-game series in the regular season where a team wins the first 2 games and then someone avoids the sweep?
That feels
significantly more. Yeah. So I think that's ultimately what it was. I would postulate that if we went to enforce them to play all 3 games anyway, that more often than not you would see a 2-1 series.
That's also goes right back into just probability.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is that it's a best of 3 where you don't have to play the third. So it seems like it's insane, but it's really pretty common.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So with that being said, should we get into some of these series?
Let's talk about them.
All right. So first up, and I think this is maybe I don't want to say it's the series that had maybe the least expectations for both teams, because like if you look throughout the season, the Astros expectations changed pretty drastically throughout the season. Where it started out, the Astros started 12-24, and then they ended up making it and they won the division. They were the 3rd seed in the league here. Got the home field advantage in the series. And so, like, the expectations were, the Astros made it back to the postseason. They're starting to get healthy. Kyle Tucker came back. I think some of their rotation had started coming back and got healthy, right?
Yeah, and they had got great performances from Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, having some of the best months of his career.
Spencer Arrighetti had continued to grow and has been showing that he's pretty legit.
Yep.
So yeah, so expectations for Houston were high. Detroit had no expectations coming out of the trade deadline. They sold. They traded away Jack Flaherty. They traded away
Andrew Chafin.
I think there were 3 big guys that they traded at the deadline, and they were not planning on making it to the postseason. I mean, Spencer Torkelson got optioned down, and then all of a sudden they went on this magical run, made it not even on the last day. Didn't they make it the day before?
Yeah. They had played so hot at the end of the season that they went from a team that was 10 games out of a postseason spot, or 10 games under 500 or something, to making the playoffs before the final day of the season. It's amazing.
Yeah, with basically only one starting pitcher in Tarek Skubal, who is he won the pitching Triple Crown. He's going to be the Cy Young.
Right.
It's a good guy to carry your team, but he pitches once every 5 days.
Yeah.
The fact that they went on that magical run is insane, but you go on that run and everyone knows that Cinderella story is going to end at some point. It doesn't go on forever. The clock strikes midnight. So it's probably going to happen against Houston, right? Wrong. You know why?
AJ Hinch. Revenge series.
AJ Hinch coming back to Houston. Tarek Skubal pitching 8 innings?
I think it was 6.
6?
Yeah.
He went fairly deep.
Yeah.
Pitched amazingly. And yeah, then take us through the rest of this.
Well, I specifically wanted to point out AJ Hinch because with this Tigers team, like you mentioned, there's one true starting pitcher, and the rest of he called it himself pitching chaos. And after Skubal had pitched, it was just figuring out the rest of the crew. And I'm not even really familiar with the names in this Tigers bullpen, but they've been doing a phenomenal job, even though they don't jump off the page and like have high strikeout rates or
okay,
they're not household names, but like
I'm gonna read you a name. You tell me if you had heard of them before a month ago.
Okay.
Bo Brisky.
I did know about him.
Okay, Justin Foley.
Jason Foley.
Jason. Sorry, that's really small.
Jason Foley.
I need better glasses. Tyler Holton.
I probably learned about him about a month ago. Yeah.
Will Vest.
I knew about him. He's been there.
Sean Gunther.
I found out about him about a week ago.
Brennan Hanafy.
Also about a week ago.
Jackson Jobe, we all know. Ty Madden.
Yep, I know Ty Madden.
We know Casey Mize. Brant Herter.
Brant Herter I've known about for a couple months now.
Okay. But these are all guys that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, there's nobody that's particularly old in this bullpen. Will Vest is the oldest guy at 29 years old. There's nobody that's particularly young other than Jackson Jobe at 22. So, like, this is just a whole bunch of guys who kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere, and the way that Hinch uses them, he uses a guy like Brant Herter for multi-inning stints. So he'll go out and pitch like one time through the order, and they won't have him face the guys a second time. And he does a great job. He's been doing it for several months now. And do you think the Tigers can just keep this going with this? Like he's pushing all the right buttons right now with this group.
So what I will say, and I know you and I have talked about this, I made my picks for the postseason. A couple before the series started, and the teams that I picked to move on from this first round were the Tigers, the Royals, the Padres, and what's the other series? Mets. And the Mets. So I managed to go 4 for 4. I actually picked Detroit to take another series over Cleveland. I think they'll continue it through at least the 5-game division series. It'll be tough. They will have an opportunity if it goes to 5 games to have. Or wait, can he pitch game 1? Tarek? Yeah, can Tarek pitch game 1?
I think he should be able to because he pitched on Tuesday.
Okay, that was Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that'd be 4 days rest.
Yeah.
So he could pitch game 1 on 4 days rest and then be on regular rest for game 5 if needed. So I have a feeling that they'll let him do it. He's going to want to do it. But why not?
I think, yeah, it almost feels like it's necessary for them to do that.
Yeah, and that gives you basically two games where you feel confident with your starting pitcher.
You've got the starting pitcher advantage.
Yeah, because Cleveland doesn't exactly have the best rotation right now. No. They're kind of in the same boat where they've got like 1, maybe 2 guys, and then they're figuring it out with the best in the league bullpen.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe you give them the bullpen advantage. Definitely you give them the bullpen advantage, but it's going to be a pretty even series. I think it comes down to the offense here, and guys like Parker Meadows, guys like Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter. These are guys that I'm looking at and thinking if they can hit how they did in Houston, they take the series.
Yeah, and it's not like they put up 10 spots or anything. They just did enough. They scored, what, 3 runs in game 1, 5 runs in game 2.
Yeah.
So with great pitching and
in game 2, they didn't even score their first run until the 6th inning. Like it was it's not like it was just constant on base, just driving in runs. They
kind of grinded out.
Yeah.
They're like grinded out offense, and sometimes that is all you can hope for in the postseason against tough pitchers. And yeah, I wanted to comment on the whole lineup because overall the offensive numbers are not great for the year.
Yeah.
Tigers are kind of known for not having much on offense, but their young players seem to have really improved over the course of the season. Riley Green turned into a star. Colt Keith became a lot better than he was the first month of the season. Even Torkelson's playing well since he came back from his option.
Yeah.
So I think they on paper, I feel like they've got enough to do it with their combination of pitching.
I think so as well. So I'm really looking forward to this series. I do think once they get through the division series, they're kind of overmatched. I think the teams that'll be left are uh, maybe not absolute juggernauts because they do have some flaws, but I think just the fact that there's so much youth here on this team, like there's only one guy in the starting lineup for Detroit that has even 3 years of service time, let alone any sort of postseason experience. Matt Vierling's the only guy with that, and it's because of last year when he was in Philly. Like they don't have guys with a ton of experience. This is their first crack at it. This kind of feels like maybe 2014 Kansas City.
But even that team had more veterans, right?
That's true.
So this is,
but
I don't know.
But I just mean from the standpoint that it's like they're a team that very well could take off here next year. This year, it's like a first crack. Let's get some guys some postseason at bats. Let's see what we could do. Maybe we'll make a magical run. But I have more hope for next year than I do them making it through the championship series.
And they're playing with so much confidence too, because they've been playing so well for the last really
like
2 to 3 months now. And they're so inexperienced. It's not like they have other memories of the postseason and how hard it was and how they lost and stuff. They're just, we're playing great. Nobody can beat us right now. They've got so much confidence.
Yeah, and that's huge.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about the Astros, though.
Okay, 7 consecutive American League Championship Series. Start 12-24, still win your division.
Yeah.
And then you get home field advantage and you get stunned in 2 games by the Detroit freaking Tigers. That has gotta hurt, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And do you think this is an end of the era? We've been talking about how it's coming, and they seem like they pushed it off this season by becoming basically the same old Astros after May 1st.
Yeah, I think it still felt like it was going to be this year. Like, I did not think that they were going to make it all the way to the championship series. One, I mean, I straight up picked them to lose this series, but even then, if they had won it, I don't know that I would have believed in them to continue hitting and beat the Guardians, or to if they made it to the championship series. I don't think they're better than the Yankees. I realize the Royals are still in it. I don't think they were good enough to beat the Yankees. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It felt like it was going to be the end anyway. Like, Bregman is a free agent now. So, whether they made it this year or not, next year was going to be the end, in my opinion. Like, I don't know who they're going to, unless they go and, like, sign a big free agent or bring Bregman back. Like, I don't know what they're going to do at third base.
Yeah.
I already don't like this team as much as I like some of those earlier teams in the dynasty thing here, going back to 2017. Like with Springer, Correa, Altuve, and Bregman, it felt like you could never lose. Now you do have Tucker, Jordan, still have Altuve, but Jordan and Tucker right now have been dealing with injuries this year. Kyle Tucker broke his shin, or his shin, and was out for what, 3.5 months?
3 months, yeah.
Jordan is still not completely healthy right now.
He sprained his knee, but he actually came back and played in the series.
Yeah, he played in the series, but he's not 100%.
Yeah, like, I'm not really worried about that for next year, though.
No, but like outside of that, like Yainer's proven to be pretty good.
He's really good, yeah.
Jeremy Pena's okay.
They've got some holes, though. They've got some holes, especially at first base. Probably their outfield too. And you're right. Next year feels like a real inflection point for them, especially with Tucker going to be a free agent after 25.
Yeah.
If they don't bring him back, then it's like totally different.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a rebuild, or not a retool.
Yeah.
Is what we're calling it now, apparently. Same thing, but
yeah.
Cardinals are retooling. We'll get to that in a separate episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It feels like it makes sense that this is the end. I'm surprised at who caused it.
Yeah. Definitely a little bit of shock there, but the The other thing is just in the division they play in, they might be able to maintain their status as the best because the other teams are not stepping up and getting any better.
Yeah, I think the Rangers are in a little bit of a weird
They're going to
plateau.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they won the World Series. Now they've kind of fallen off. Didn't even like come close to making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think next year behind Kumar and Jack Leiter, they're going to take off a little bit more. I think their offense will bounce back a little bit, and so it's going to make it a lot tougher for Houston to come back and win this division year after year after year. I mean, the Mariners are going to go through some managerial changes and things. Who knows what's going to happen there? So, like, yeah, it really does feel like it's the end of a run. In 7 years in a row making the championship series is one hell of a run.
Amazing. So, that's a dynasty right there.
Yeah, 2 championships, 7 American League Championship Series. Like, it's a dynasty, even if you don't win the 3rd World Series.
Yeah.
So let's see what other series we got. Hi, Siri.
Siri, you're not invited to this podcast, but
I think maybe we should go and talk about the one favorite that won their series. Okay. And that is the San Diego Padres at home against the Atlanta Braves. This, in most years, would have been probably the best matchup in this division or in this wild card series. Unfortunately, the Braves had to go through so many like injuries and losses, like losing guys due to injuries and just not playing up to their standards whenever people are healthy. But like right now, they're down Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna,
Spencer
Strider, and so like all of their big names are hurt.
Chris Sale couldn't pitch in the series. I felt like it was just a big win for the Braves to even make the playoffs.
Yeah,
the fact that it felt like nearly everything went wrong for them. They still won 89 games. They still made the playoffs.
They didn't get swept in the doubleheader to end the season that they had to play on Monday.
Yeah.
Just to even have a chance to make it.
I legitimately don't think Braves fans were probably like affected by this, knowing the state of their team. Like,
yeah,
they kind of had no expectations for their team to do well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of the Braves, I think this is just a blip because they've got all their guys coming back next year.
Yeah.
They should be locked and loaded to return back to like NL East favorite status.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would necessarily say co-favorites. I was going to say I don't know that I would necessarily give them a massive leg up over the Phillies,
but they're right there with them.
Yes, yeah. I would still put them over the Mets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously, you'd put them over the Marlins and the Nats for next year. But
yeah, but like there's big questions for their offseason too. Like, what are they going to do about Max Fried? He's a free agent. Do they bring him back? Because traditionally, it doesn't seem like they bring back their free agents who actually reach free agency. They seem to extend them before they even get there.
Yeah.
Thinking about like Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, guys that reached free agency and then did not re-sign.
Yeah. So it'll definitely be an interesting offseason for the Braves. The Padres, on the other hand, everything was going right for this team. This is a team that, like, other than Yu Darvish being hurt for a while this year, like, they mostly had their rotation intact. They had their bullpen intact. They had their lineup intact.
Well, they have their lineup intact now, and that's what's important, right? Because Tatis missing a bunch of time, and
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but now he's healthy and he looks like back to his elite form.
Yeah,
they're clicking all cylinders.
Machado is back to his normal self.
Yeah.
Xander's not been abysmal this year, which is nice.
Luis strikes out once a month.
Yeah, once every month and a half.
Once every month and a half. Yeah.
Kim Ha-sung unfortunately hurt for the postseason. His season ended, I think, basically the day before the end of the year.
No, he's been injured for a long time.
Has he? They just ruled him officially out? Okay. But, like, he was a big part of that team as well, and they did lose him, but this Padres team won 93 games behind Mike Shilton his first year there. They traded for Dylan Cease a while back, and that
worked out
great for them.
Yeah.
He's been amazing this year. So, and then you've got a three-headed monster in the bullpen, and Jason Adam, Tanner Scott, and Robert Suarez. I almost said Ranger. Wrong team.
We'll get to him in a little bit.
Yeah. So, like, this is a team that I personally think is going to win the World Series. That's my pick this year, is for the Padres to win it all. Yeah. So they're playing like it.
So for me, we talked this yesterday, but the most interesting thing was the way that they align their starters in the series. We talked about Dylan Cease. I think we agree that he's their best pitcher, and they decided to hold him for Game 3 of the series, which never happened. Now they're perfectly lined up for the next series, and I think that probably is because they had so much faith in Michael King and Joe Musgrove, who have been pitching great, and they did do that. I mean, Musgrove got injured in Game 2, but Michael King goes out and he pitches 7 shutout innings with 12 strikeouts.
Yeah, no walks given up.
Yeah,
12 strikeouts in 7 innings. He dominated the Braves. And the Braves, while they do have a lot of their big hitters missing, they got a great series out of Michael Harris. Mm-hmm. Like, Michael Harris had definitely a homer in Game 2. I think he had one in Game 1 late in the game.
But he was 5 for 8.
But he was 5 for 8 in the series with like 4 or 5 RBIs or whatever. Like, he was basically the offense for the Braves. Mm. And so the fact that Michael King, a guy who I think most people would say is a number 5 for that team, or number 4.
I think we got to really rethink that.
We do. But I think whenever people are just like off the top of their head thinking about that rotation, they would assume he's the worst. And it's not the case. No. Like, right now, I'd argue he's their number 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So he comes out, dominates. Fernando Tatis in the first inning pulverizes a baseball, has probably the funniest follow through on that swing I'd ever seen, and then I think he bat flipped after it too. Just the Braves went down immediately, and they took punch after punch after punch. Like, it was only 4-0 in the first game, so not like they're giving up 10 runs a game or whatever. And then Game 2 was 5-4. Like, they gave up runs in the second inning. All 5 of the runs that scored for the Padres were in the second inning of that game. Kyle Higashioka tied it up with his second career postseason home run, I believe, in back-to-back days. Yeah. Tied it up. They took the lead, and then the Braves fought back. Like, they had the Padres kind of reeling for a bit and kept getting guys on base. They scratched 1 across in the 5th, scratched 2 across in the 8th, and it looked like it might go to Game 3. The Padres 3-headed monster shut it down. And I think this is really a team that is just ready to take it.
They seem so complete. They seem like a team that doesn't really have a on-paper weakness. Obviously, could go cold in some facet of the game. I think people talk about their defense as being their weak link. And does that really matter within a series? Anything can
Not
happen.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times, and you could definitely point to very specific instances, cough, cough, Nelson Cruz, where, defensive miscues can basically lose you a series. But in a postseason series, especially a 3-game one like this, it's not really probably going to factor in that much.
Yeah, defense feels like something that's more meaningful, like over a course of a season, that over time it'll win you games, but over a 5-game series, it's like whatever.
Yeah, as long as you don't have anything like that's going to give up an inside the park home run or a bases clearing triple in a pivotal game, you're pretty much good. So
yeah, I like the Padres going forward, and they showed how good of a team they can be in all facets.
Yeah, and now they get to go and face the Los Angeles Dodgers in the division series, which is going to be a spectacular matchup.
Yes.
I do think the Padres are actually the more complete team right now, though.
We said that. When did we say that? We said that prior to 2023. We were really in on the Padres, and their season went horribly. It went horribly, horribly off the rails.
Well, and they have basically the same team.
That's what I was going to say. Like, they're bringing back all the same guys. obviously they've added a guy like Michael King and they've subtracted Juan Soto, but all the luck and fluky indicators have come back
and
to
then
their side.
And then at the trade deadline this year, because of things going their way, they go and get Jason Adam, they get Tanner Scott, they add to this thing, and like they're not dealing with the injury bug like every other team seems to be. Yes, they're down Kim Ha-sung. That's about it. Like the rest of their team is healthy. And the Dodgers, on the other hand, their rotation right now is depleted.
Yeah.
Like that's where I think this next series is going to make or break for the Dodgers is pitching, starting pitching specifically.
So the Dodgers announced Yamamoto is going to start game 1, but he hasn't pitched more than I think 4 innings in any of his starts since he's come back from his injury.
Okay.
So they can't really count on him to go deep into a game. They've got Jack Flaherty, who's a traditional starter. The Tigers could really use him right now. And and then beyond those two guys, I mean, who's starting a game 3 for the Dodgers? I'm not really sure.
I don't know. Let's get their roster.
But whoever it is, it's a big disadvantage compared to whoever the Padres put out. It's like a Walker Buehler who's been terrible since he returned from his injury this year, really all year.
And then Landon Knack.
And Landon Knack, a rookie. So, I mean.
So it's definitely going to come down to, I think, their
bullpen, which has also been pitching pretty well since they got Michael Kopech. I think he stabilized the group and
taking over as their closer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, if they can get to that bullpen, especially the back end of their bullpen, they'll be okay. It's just how many innings are they realistically getting in 4 of the 5 games of this series? Jack Flaherty, I think, is going to go 6 pretty comfortably.
They're going to need that, yeah.
And they're going to need it. But how far is Yamamoto going to go? Is Walker Buehler going to hold together? Like, Kershaw's out for at least this series, right? Is he out for the postseason?
He's weeks away.
Is he?
So if he returns,
it's like the World Series only.
Maybe Championship Series, maybe World Series, yeah.
So this is going to be a tough test. It'll be a really good series. I mean,
it's on the offense, right? It's on the Dodgers offense to be able to make up for the deficiencies on the pitching side.
And they very easily could do it. I mean, you don't just have a guy who hits 54 home runs with 59 steals lead off for a guy who, and if he hadn't gotten hurt, would probably be second in the MVP in Mookie Betts, and then a guy who would have still been in top 5 in the MVP voting in Freddie Freeman.
We haven't even had time to talk about Shohei because we haven't podcasted in so long, but I mean, the run this guy's on right now, just looking at the last month of the season, it's unreal what he's been doing.
So, in all of the Native American stories where the world is on the turtle's back.
Yeah.
Shohei is the turtle. And the world is baseball. This man cannot lose. He's great at everything. And he's apparently, even though Andrew Friedman basically said Shohei is not pitching in the postseason, there's people who have watched Shohei throw bullpens, and they said he's not rehabbing. He's pitching in his bullpens. He is all out trying to get back
at this point.
Yeah, this dude's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
and let's not forget, we got to enjoy this. This is the first time we've ever seen Shohei play a postseason game.
Yeah.
And he's played other big games like the WBC and but nothing like this.
Yeah, and
it's going to be amazing.
I would not put it past Shohei to will this team to the promised land. Like, this is a man who seems like if he decides that he wants to do something in the sport that has the hardest task in sports of just hitting a ball. It's like players that have played multi-sports, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, they all say that hitting a baseball is the hardest thing in sports. This is a guy that seems to do it just because he wants to. Doesn't really have to try. And when he does try, he almost wins a Triple Crown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. A Triple Crown while also leading or being second in the league in steals. How? It doesn't make any sense. And he hits leadoff. It's insane. But yeah, this lineup though for the Dodgers is going to be incredibly tough for the Padres. Now, they've played them a lot. It's not like they're unfamiliar.
Very familiar with these two teams are very familiar.
Yeah. So it's going to make.
Do you think that plays into an advantage for either one, or not really?
I kind of think not really. I think it's going to favor the offenses in general. I do think there's a little bit of a advantage maybe for the Dodgers with Yamamoto specifically, because he was hurt for a significant amount of time. So the Padres have not seen Yamamoto.
That's true.
Very much. And he is a generational pitching talent. So, like, if he pitches well in his starts, I think they're going to really struggle, or the Padres will really struggle in those games, and that gives an edge to the Dodgers. It's just those other games of the series where the Padres, I think, have the leg up.
Yeah. Well, for as good and obviously they're star-studded, the Dodgers lineup, maybe their back part of their lineup with Edman, Lux, Rojas, that's not nearly as strong as 1 through 9 for the Padres. I feel like they've got the more complete lineup.
Yeah, because I mean,
did you see the season Jurickson Profar had this year? He was insane.
Was he still that hot at the end of the year?
Yeah, he kept it up the entire year. He had the best year of his career, and he's been playing for 11 years in the majors. Yeah,
I'm gonna getting Fangraphs on my phone pulled up here. I just want to look at Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, no, it's shocking stuff, and I think that's the edge that I see for the Padres. I see edges, like slight edges in both lineup.
4.3 WAR.
Yeah.
280, 380, 459, 24 home runs, 10 steals.
Just a great season.
Good Lord.
That's third for them.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Who's the back end of their order? Cronenworth, Solano, and Higgy?
Yeah.
I mean, Higgy's shown up so far in the postseason.
He's got the power, yeah.
So, and Higgy is a really good defensive catcher as well. That's really why he's there. Like, he's Martin Maldonado if Maldonado knew how to hit even a little bit or had some power.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the Padres definitely do have the leg up there in the back end of their order. This is going to be a good series.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited as we talk about this one. This is going to be good.
So what do you say we move on, go back to the American League, finish up our 2-game sweeps with the Royals. Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Star-studded youth movement here. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holliday, Heston Kjerstad, Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg, Corbin Burns as their ace. This team can't lose.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then all of a sudden, the last month of the season, they could not win.
It's not just the last month of the season. I think it goes all the way back to like basically mid-season. It's not just a short slump; it's a long slump. And yeah, the offense didn't show up for the series at all. Credit to Kansas City; they pitched really well. Cole Reagans is an ace. They've got their own kind of mini 3-headed monster. Do you know their guys?
Angel Zerpa.
I don't know if he was the guy I was thinking of, but yeah, he's there.
They're guys that have been traded for and acquired over the past couple of years, right?
So one guy, the guy at the back end.
Do they still have Ian Kennedy?
They do not.
Okay.
But they traded for Lucas Urseg, from the A's.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been excellent as their closer.
Okay.
And then continuing to work backwards, they've got Chris Bubich, who's now working out.
Oh, he's in the bullpen now.
And he's been fantastic. And then the third guy is, his name isn't come to me here, but I'll just look that up. Sam Long, another guy who had kind of bounced around, tried the starting thing, but now that they put him in a bullpen role, he's dominant. And honestly, the Royals can't hit. Like, they do not have a good offense. They basically almost missed the postseason because of how bad they played at the end of the year.
Well, and there's a reason that Vinny Pasquantino came back immediately.
Yeah, he should have been
2 weeks before he should have been back with a broken thumb.
Yeah,
which makes hitting incredibly hard.
And they locked him right in the 3-hole.
And he drove in one of their maybe one of their runs.
Like healthy, or he's gutting it out or something.
I'm thinking he's gutting it out.
Yeah, good for Vinny. But outside of Vinny and Bobby, like, who do you got in the lineup? They're terrible.
I mean, Salvi, but he's like, I think the tail end of the season, he kind of started falling back to earth a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, swinging at everything. Yeah. Striking out and stuff.
Like, I mean, he had some pretty big whiffs in this series that were kind of... Yeah. Just like he looked like he was swinging all out and just it did not work.
They feel like they're very similar to the Tigers, but they have an even worse offense.
Worse offense, better rotation.
Yes.
Because, I mean, they do have Michael Wacha. They do have Seth Lugo.
Cole Reagans.
Cole Reagans. So and then there's a fourth one that's decent, right?
Who's the fourth one?
I don't know.
Oh, Singer.
Yeah, Brady Singer.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they're two teams that are very similar. I would almost argue that the better team is the Royals.
Maybe.
Because neither team really has an offense.
But I just
the Royals have a bullpen.
The Tigers have now been playing well for a couple months, so I give them the edge there.
That's true.
I don't believe in this Royals offense, and I think they're going to run into a big...
I mean, this is a Royals offense that upgraded by adding Yuli Gurriel.
Yeah.
Like, that's not great. Tommy Pham hasn't really done anything for him since he was signed to him, which is weird because that's the first team that he hasn't, like, single-handedly improved this year.
He played well.
Yeah, but he wasn't, like, playing, like, the same level that he was with the White Sox or with the Cardinals when it didn't matter how good he was.
Yeah, I guess.
So they didn't get quite what they were expecting. It didn't help ignite this offense as much as they had hoped. Like, it's still the Bobby Witt Jr. show, which is a really fun show to watch. But, like, the Shohei Ohtani show is followed by the Mookie Betts and the Freddie Freeman shows, whereas this is like... Okay, so let's put it this way. The Dodgers are animation domination on Fox with Family Guy, The Simpsons, and American Dad. The Royals are like NCIS night on CBS.
So it's like one good show, but then the rest of it
is pretty...
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. On the other side, though, the Orioles, they clearly need some work, right?
Yeah. I'm not, like...
They've got all
What happened to their offense coming down the stretch?
It's been bad for a while. I really think it has to do with Adley being hurt. Because he got hit by a pitch, and then since then, he hasn't really hit. And then, I don't think Gunnar had any slump, really. He continued to play well. Yeah. Jordan Westburg got hurt. I don't know why the offense didn't really work.
Jackson Holliday had been kind of up and down. He never really broke out. Yeah, he had a week or two where he was looking...
That was literally it.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think this is an Orioles team that we're still going to be talking about for a couple of years now.
The young core is so solid, and they're all coming back.
And the new owner announced that they are expecting payroll to increase. All these guys, unless that just means that they're signing extensions to these guys, I kind of think that means that they're going to go out and try and re-sign Corbin Burns or sign Max Fried
yeah.
or maybe even take a flyer on Walker Buehler or something like that.
I would go after, those top tier starters because that's their number one need for the offseason.
Okay, so we were talking about this last night. This is a little off topic, so I'll keep it brief. But if they went out and got, say, Corbin Burns, would you also take that flyer on Walker Buehler? To bounce back?
That's pretty low risk, I would say. He's not going to be asking for $100 million or something.
Yeah, and which gives you your ace that is already with the team, seems to like it. If you can pay him enough money to keep him, and then you've got a guy who's potentially a bounce back candidate that could easily be your number 2.
Well, don't forget about Grayson when he comes back.
You do have Grayson, so like that could give you a 3-headed rotation here there that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. I just feel like the Orioles haven't done much on the pitching development side because they don't really have guys in their pipeline. They're all offensive players.
Yeah.
So feels like they should go after both a free agent signing as well as trading from their depth of position players.
Sonny Gray's available.
You're really peddling Sonny Gray.
Hey, I want those prospects.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
So,
and then the Royals are going to now face a really tough test because they got the Yankees.
The Royals are getting swept.
I kind of want to. I don't like the Royals, but it would be kind of funny to see them upend the juggernaut Yankees.
I actually kind of like this Yankees team, which I've never been able to say before.
I like the Yankees.
I've never liked the Yankees. I never thought I would say that I like a Yankees team, and I like this Yankees team. I want this Yankees team to go to the World Series, and I want them to lose to the Padres.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that just no matter how good Cole Reagans is, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are better. I think that they're going to get the best of him. I don't think they're going to like go and I don't think that we're going to see Cole Reagans give up 6 runs, but I think that like he's not going to be enough. Reagans isn't to keep the Yankees at bay. Like I think we're going to see Judge, we're going to see Stanton, we're going to see Soto teeing off on at least one of these pitchers. There's going to be a blowout in this series. I don't know what game it's going to be. I don't know who's going to pitch it. I would probably bet on Michael Wacha.
He's pitching game 1.
Game 1's going to be a blowout. But I don't know. If Garrett Cole is pitching well, which I know he's been a little off and on, but if he can settle in, he's going to be able to dominate this lineup.
Yeah.
Well, Luis Gil is still like rookie of the year candidate.
Yeah, I think with Cole's key because he'll start game 1 and game 5. I think the way that they slow handled Cole this season was perfect because they had enough of a lead. They knew that they were going to go to the playoffs. They knew that they wanted Cole for the home stretch, and they built him up super slowly. Lots of rehab starts and then shorter starts when he was first coming back. And now it seems like he's fully ramped up and doing his thing again, and he looks like Garrett Cole of old.
So, and that's going to be huge. So, because after Cole, you have who? Like Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil?
Yeah, so Cortez is hurt. Who's the other starter? Clark Schmidt?
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know who they would use for game 3.
But either way, they're all good pitchers. Obviously, the other 3 are not Garrett Cole. But I'd say they stack up pretty well.
Reagans and Lugo or Cole and Rodon?
I think if I'm...
That's close.
It's close. Yeah. I think if I'm trying to win both games, I want Reagans and Lugo. If I want to guarantee I win at least one, I want Cole and Rodon.
Yeah. The more and more I think about this, I think Kansas City's rotation is strong enough that they can keep them in the games. And could their bullpen be this year's version of the 23 Rangers or the 23 Diamondbacks or the 22 Phillies where the bullpen gets really hot and they basically carry team.
I mean, they've kind of already started to show
done that in the first 2 games. Yeah.
Now, they've done that in the first 2 games against a team who we did just say has really been struggling to hit.
Yeah.
And the Yankees do have their own problems with struggling to hit for significant portions of time. Like the 3 guys who, or the 2 guys really, who throughout the entire season didn't have a slump are Soto and Judge. Stanton didn't really have a slump, but Stanton, as Stanton does, did not play the whole season due to some injuries. The rest of that team really has some pretty big downs. Like right now, they're playing hot. Austin Wells is hitting well. We're seeing Glaber be Glaber. But like, I don't know that I trust it for the entire month of October to be that way.
Wow.
I think that's their weakness, is that the basically back 2/3 of their lineup just disappears for weeks on end.
See, I don't think it's a weakness. I disagree. I think their offense is really strong. I think it's one of the best ones in the league, with the additions of Jazz, with the emergence of Wells, with like Glaber getting back to his regular performance, and then when you have 2 stars in there, you don't need your 8 9 hitters to be as good.
So who are you going to run out in left field? Alex Verdugo or Jason Dominguez?
Well, I think of Alex Verdugo as basically a 9 hitter. Is what he is, right? Defensive guy, whatever.
But wouldn't it behoove them to run with Jason, who can actually hit the ball and can field?
He struggled a lot since he's played this year.
Has he?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still think that this Yankees team is the team to beat in the American League. I don't know that there's any team that I would say necessarily on paper stacks up even remotely close. And that tends to happen when you have 2 MVP level guys. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
I do think that the Yankees take this series. I don't know. I just don't see a way that the Royals can do this. With 5 games, the Yankees are going to have a lot of chances here. And I think that's the key. If it were a 3-game series, I would say Kansas City could do it.
Sure.
With it being 5 this time, or is it 7? Okay, they didn't extend the division series. Yeah, with it being 5 games, I don't see it.
I don't see it either, yeah.
All right, we have 1 more series to talk about. I guess technically 2, since we're doing a series that happened and a series that's going to occur.
Oh, I thought we already talked about all the series. We kind of forgot to talk about the Guardians, but we just talked about the Yankees and Royals.
Yeah. Or do we want to talk about the Guardians real quick?
We can talk about the Tigers. Yeah.
All right. So Tigers are going to face the Guardians.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams are incredibly similar, in my opinion. Both of them really have 1 starting pitcher. Some guys who do start games.
I think we got to give the Guardians a little bit more credit because they got.
Do they have 2 starting pitchers?
2, right?
Okay. Well, they have 2 starting pitchers.
They got Tanner Bybee and they got Gavin Williams. They also got Matt Boyd and Ben Lively, Joey Cantillo. So they got some starters.
But the only 2 who've really been consistent are Bybee and the guy that I despise, Matt Boyd, right?
Yeah, he's been solid since he started pitching for them after his injury.
I still hate him. I'm never going to like Matt Boyd. But Matt Boyd revenge game?
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah,
did you know that
it's an okay rotation? It's definitely a better rotation than the Tigers' rotation.
Yeah.
Obviously, Skubal, I would take over any of the other 7 guys that are going to start in the series.
Mm-hmm.
After that, though, I do think it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah, and we know that the strength of the Guardians is their bullpen, and that's where they can shine in the playoffs.
Yeah,
because they actually have to rely on the starters for a lot less because this bullpen is historically good. They're like one of the best bullpens of all time, which is unreal.
If Tarek Skubal didn't exist, I would bet that Clase would get Cy Young votes.
He probably still will get like some down ballot votes. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
I would argue we should get some middle ballot or even high ballot votes, just not firsts.
Crazy season for Clase. Like he had a .61 ERA over 74 and a third innings with, I mean, not a lot of strikeouts, but he's been like that for his whole career where he induces weak contact and nobody can score runs off this guy.
There are only 2 guys in this bullpen who have an ERA over 2.
Yeah.
And they're both well over 3 in Nick Sandlin and Pedro Avila. Avila? Yep. But, man, Hunter Gaddis, 74 innings, a 1.57. Like, Tim Herron.
I heard about this guy. Probably nobody knows who this guy is.
Eric Sabrowski.
Yeah, so Eric Sabrowski, look at his AAA numbers here. He had like 12.89 Ks per 9 at AAA. And then he just showed up at the end of the season through like 12 innings. And now he's maybe going to be counted on in big postseason games along with the rest of the...
He had a 4.4 ERA in AAA, and he has not given up a run yet in the majors?
Yeah.
Well, all right then. That's actually kind of an impressive start at the major league level.
Yeah.
12 and 2/3 innings, not giving up a run.
Did you know how close Jose Ramirez was to the 40-40-40 club?
1 home run.
And he had 39 doubles.
Really?
And he would have been the first player to ever reach that. And the Guardians' last game of the season got postponed. Or it got canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I knew he was at 39-41.
41, yeah.
I didn't know about the doubles.
Yeah.
But yeah, like nobody had ever really mentioned that he was that close to 40-40.
I know, yeah, and it just came out of nowhere.
I mean, it kind of makes sense that when you see 50-50, 40-40 just in the moment doesn't seem like it's
but then
anything
we remember
special.
The 40-40 club only has
7
people in it now, yeah.
Yeah. But it's insane.
Yeah.
If we would have had 2 40-40s in the same year, that would have been wild.
That would have been wild. And the Guardians are kind of the opposite of the Tigers, though, because they have not been playing well in the second half. They came back down to earth. Not guys like Naylor and Ramirez, who are their star players, but I think the rest of the group, especially like Steven Kwan, he was horrible in the second half.
Bo Naylor really struggled.
They've got black holes in their lineups in Rocchio and Naylor. Jimenez, the one good season he had just seems like a fluke at this point.
The addition of Lane Thomas didn't really help offset it, but it didn't really help offset the drop off by everyone else, and that like good thing for them that they added Lane Thomas, because that definitely helped hold them up a little bit. But
I feel like every game of the series is going to be like 2-1.
Probably.
Like I don't see a lot of runs being scored.
I have more faith right now in the youth of the Tigers lineup to score.
And they got to do it early. They got to do it and get the leads early to beat the Guardians. Because if you go down against the Guardians, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah. So this will be an interesting series. I kind of think Parker Meadows and Kerry Carpenter are going to be the stars of this series offensively.
Okay.
I think that they're going to manage to get at least 2 wins for the Tigers. And then they're going to need someone to be a hero and win that 3rd game. But I think it's going to happen. This game, or the series, is going to 5.
Yeah, they seem pretty evenly matched.
It's going to 5. I am picking the Tigers to win it. But this is probably the most difficult one for me to have picked.
Okay.
So.
All right, we got one more.
I've been offering all my picks. I haven't even heard yours.
Yeah, I haven't made any picks.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll talk about this last series, and then we'll
come back to the picks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we have one more series. The Mets and the Brewers. This was probably the best wild card series, not just because it went to 3 games, but just because of the drama within the series. There were lead changes in every game. This game 1 was really interesting because it was kind of back and forth. It started off with some rocky pitching, then the pitching sort of settled in, and then the 5th inning happened where the Brewers were still leading the game, and the Mets.
Was that the Lindor home run?
No, it was actually just a bunch of singles.
Oh, the Lindor home run was the last game of the regular season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad.
And I think he also had a homer in game 2, maybe. But this was just a terrible sequence for the Brewers because they had a fielding miscue. They had just a bunch of singles happen against them, and
a couple stolen bases given up too, right?
I don't know.
Or like it was either game 1 or game 2 that I know last night Jesse Winker stole a couple, but I think no. Scroll right.
There are no steals.
No steals. Okay, so I'm thinking a different game.
But it was like there were 6 hits, I think, in a row, and they were all happening with 2 outs. And they ended up scoring 5 runs. And that totally changed the game because then the Mets had a big lead. And instead of having to go to the bullpen, which was already heavily taxed from the doubleheader the day before and all the games in the last week, that they could continue pitching with Severino, and he ended up giving them 6 innings. And then they made it through, the last few innings with the bullpen that was tired.
No. And this is the last team the Brewers faced in the regular season was the Mets. The Mets had 2 games against the Braves in between because they had to go and figure out if they were even going to make the postseason. But so the Brewers have seen all these guys very recently.
Yeah, and the Brewers showed nothing in that last series. They pitched all guys that either didn't make the playoff roster or like the last guys in their bullpen or whatever. They had a game where Colin Ray threw like 110 pitches just to eat innings because they had nothing to play for. Yeah. They didn't want to show anything against the Mets.
No.
But the Mets don't quit, apparently. They just continue to find ways to come back in these games, and it's kind of amazing. OMG.
Yeah, OMG is right. Candelita.
Yeah.
Game 2.
Churio game.
One, this is, the Churio game. And I believe Garrett Mitchell also hit a home run in that game.
Yeah.
So
Churio had the leadoff homer. He was like the youngest player to hit a leadoff homer in a game.
In a postseason game?
In a postseason game. And he also had the game tying homer in the 8th inning. So he had a 2-homer game, making him the first player since Babe Ruth to have like 2 game tying home runs in a postseason game. That was literally in like the World Series and some
19.
It was when he was on the Red Sox.
Oh, so the teens.
Yeah.
Like 1914 or something like that. Yeah.
So unreal game by Jackson Churio. And then Garrett Mitchell hit another homer in that same inning to give the Brewers the lead they would not give up. I don't know. Brewers got some guys that can just hit some bombs.
This is maybe the first power. I don't want to say power built, but this is the most power the Brewers have had in probably 10 years.
Yeah, because every year in the postseason we talk about how the Brewers' offense is their deficiency, and this year they were better.
Yeah, I think probably since Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder were both on the Brewers at the same time, this is probably the most power they've had. I mean, you got Sal Frelick's got some power. Both Willies and William Contreras, Willie Adames.
Yep. Hoskins.
Rhys Hoskins, yeah. So, it's probably the most fun Brewers team to watch if you don't despise the Brewers. And that's the key. Because
That's not us, though.
No, that's not us. Yeah. Oh, when they won game 2, that hurt my heart because I thought they were going to win game 3. And then game 3 yesterday,
it seemed like
I thought the Brewers were going to win game 3.
Yeah.
It came down to one out in the 9th inning. 2 runners on. Pete Alonso comes up to bat. Devin Williams is in, throws an 86-mile-an-hour changeup. Airbender changeup. Stays middle, outside edge of the plate. The one guy in the National League that you cannot do that to because he can and he will hit it the other way farther than a player can back up on the field. Did exactly that. Pete Alonso drove the ball over, was it Frelick?
Yeah, I think so.
Over Frelick's head. Had no chance to rob it. Into the bullpen to take the lead. It's the first time in history for at least the Mets. I think it was in Major League history where there was a game-winning home run in the 9th inning with the team trailing
in a winner-take-all game.
Yeah,
of the series. So it was like a historic moment, obviously created by the playoff format. But I mean, it literally could have been Pete Alonso's last at bat with the Mets, and now they keep going.
And it was a massive hit. It was gone off the bat. You could pretty well tell it was going to carry. He was so hyped. And after the game, he's like, I wasn't trying to hit it deep. I'm just trying to extend the game, just make contact. And luckily, he's big enough that he runs into one and it's going to go far. But then that wasn't even the end of the scoring. And I think this is where things got fun. So there's this guy that Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee, not even just Brewers fans. I think the city of Milwaukee itself, if it had a persona, would hate this man for existing. And that man is Jesse Winker, a guy who has not been good for like 2 or 3 years since he was with the Reds. He got booed every time he came to the plate. He didn't do anything. He literally hasn't done anything because he's not that good anymore. In the 9th inning, after Pete's home run, he ended up on base, got to second, and then I believe it was a double by who hit that? Was that Lindor?
No. Who was that?
Nimmo?
Oh. It was after those guys because those guys got on base for Alonso. Alonso had the big hit. I think Iglesias got out. Winker got on base.
Yeah, Iglesias.
Was it Alvarez or was it?
Yeah, I think it was Alvarez. But anyway, double. Winker comes around. A meaningless run, really.
It's an insurance run.
I mean, an insurance run, but like ultimately it didn't matter, and like it's big. But he just scored from second on a double. It's not like he made some spectacular play or anything like that. Well, he gets up. He is the most hyped I've ever seen a human. Spikes his batter's helmet straight into the ground, not forward a little bit to where if it bounces, it's not going to necessarily kill him. Just straight into the ground. Broke the helmet in 3 pieces. I've never seen that happen before.
Well, he just ensured that he's going to get booed in Milwaukee for the rest of his career.
He might get shot in Milwaukee. Like, he needs to be careful if he goes to walk around now. But, yeah, Jesse Winker just... that's a moment that's going to live rent-free in my head for the rest of my life. I just... There's no way around it.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
You might remember that one more than the Alonso home run.
Yeah, probably.
Which is... funny.
And Pete was shaked when he hit that.
Yes.
Like, I didn't think that there was going to be a bigger hype moment in really the postseason. And then Jesse Winker slid into home on a double.
Yep. And wow.
When it wasn't even like a close play at the plate.
And circumstances of that whole inning were insane too. The fact that Williams he basically was ahead in the count against Lindor, ended up falling behind and walking him. That's not typical.
No.
Then Nimmo getting a hit on a 2-strike pitch, and Alonso hitting a home run when Williams rarely gives up homers at all.
Now, I did see this morning that there is a new John Boy breakdown. I'm sure that most people that listen here probably know who John Boy is and enjoy his breakdowns because he does a great job with them. He did put out a breakdown basically saying that Devin Williams was tipping his pitches yesterday, which if he was, that's huge. Like, definitely probably helped the Mets come back and win that game. But no, to be down in the ninth, still fighting it out, and be able to do it against a guy who you told me earlier has only given up 15 home runs in his career.
Correct. Yeah.
In 4 years.
Longer than that, but it's
2020, almost, right?
Yeah.
Because he was the rookie of the year in 20.
I think so. Yeah.
So 2021, 22, 23, 5 years.
It's almost 300 innings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. But yeah, like there are 3 guys, right-handed hitters, that I think can do that. All 3 play in the city of New York. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and the Polar Bear.
I think we're going to have to revisit that one after the podcast.
You think so?
I feel like we're forgetting some guys.
I think Elliot Ramos can do it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he had the first right-handed splash hit.
Yeah.
He could do it.
Well, yeah, I guess Brewers fall short again in the playoffs. Mets are just on some kind of crazy run in the second half.
And just like the Padres having to go into LA to face their division rival, the Mets have to go into the bank.
Yeah, we got 3 out of 4 true divisional series.
And then the other one is a historic rivalry.
The Royals.
The Royals and the Yankees.
From the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these are 4 really kind of cool matchups.
I think we got to talk about the Phillies here.
We do.
To close out. The Phillies are just lurking, right? They've been chilling for a whole week. Now they get to play the Mets.
So Brian Snitker said after the Braves lost last year in the division series, said that he thinks that the bye round, the layoff, is why they lost. And that's why the Phillies were able to beat them last year.
And if I remember right, he was basically saying that, it becomes harder to see velocity and stuff like that.
Yeah. The Phillies responded to that with, well, we would like to have the layoff because that's definitely not the case.
And they haven't had it because they haven't won the division since 2011.
Yeah.
Until this year.
And so they finally get their layoff. We'll see how that works out. I don't think it's going to affect them.
I don't think it matters.
This is a team that, even their non-superstars are kind of superstars. Kyle Schwarber's not a superstar, but Kyle Schwarber's kind of a superstar.
We talked about how complete the Padres lineup is. I mean, the Phillies may be right there with them.
Yeah, I mean,
ahead of them.
You have your true breakout of Alec Boehm.
You might want to recheck that one.
Do I need to recheck it? Was that just a first half thing?
I think.
That was just a first half thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's been rough.
But I don't know.
But yeah, but regardless.
Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, there's enough guys there that just you feel confident.
Yeah, and they've got so much postseason experience now. They maybe have the biggest home field advantage just because of their fan base.
I think the bank is definitely probably
they say it's the loudest place to play.
It's got to be the most hostile environment to play in as an opposing team.
And with the divisional team coming into town too, it's going to be wild.
I'm going to bet that they try and do the thing where they won't sell tickets to anyone from New York.
Yeah.
So it's going to be red. It's going to be packed. Red October is back. Brandon Marsh and his nasty beard are going to be hyped.
Nastier than the beard's the wet hair.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Sorry, the wet hair. Bryce Harper, I think, is going to be legendary this postseason.
Just he has been.
Well, I think this is the postseason that defines his career.
I feel like he already had that one with that big home run against the Padres.
But I'm thinking this is going to be his 2011 Albert Pujols postseason.
I feel like he already had it in 22. He literally had the postseason you're describing.
He's going to have three homer games.
He's going to do it again.
He's going to do it again. Yeah. And he's going to win the series this time.
All right.
Well, no, because the Padres are going to win the World Series. Okay. He's not even going to win the division or the championship series. But you get the point.
I think we're both on the same page that we both want to see the Phillies and the Padres in the championship series again.
I feel so bad for the Mets that they have to go play the Phillies.
I don't know. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It's going to be a good series. Like there's extra oomph there for both teams to want to play well. I do think that the Mets, if I were the Mets, I would have rather wanted to play the Dodgers. Like it's one of those that it seems stupid because the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They have Shohei. They have Freddie, they have Mookie, they have Max Muncy and Will Smith, and just all these dudes. But they play the Phillies so much. The Phillies have home field advantage. I would have rather gone into Chavez Ravine.
Yeah.
So
are you worried about anything with the Phillies though? What do we even?
Not really.
Not really. They're like, just so complete too.
Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, and
Christopher Sanchez.
He's
ahead of Suarez. Yeah.
I feel confident there. The bullpen's
good.
I feel confident there.
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado's still closer there, right? Ish.
But I got Carlos Estevez at the trade deadline.
Oh, forgot about Carlos Estevez.
And Jeff Hoffman's been insanely good. They've got like Orion Kirkering and other Matt Strom. Like those guys are great.
They've got power. They've got speed. They've got guys who can play defense, and then they have Kyle Schwarber.
He doesn't even play the field anymore.
They still have Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
But Brandon Marsh, I think is going to make some spectacular catch. I think Edmundo Sosa is going to be a key there.
I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know if he's hurt or something.
I'll have to look that up. But if he's on the club and he's healthy, I think Edmundo Sosa is going to have a highlight reel play. I don't know what it's going to be.
I don't know if he should see the field, but
it might be a hit. But there's going to be something he does highlight reel, just one. But it's going to be a big deal.
I don't think so, but okay.
He's got that devil magic in him still.
The devil magic's all dead.
He's going to do one thing. But I don't know. This is going to be a fun series to watch. All of these series are going to be fun. I think the one that I'm probably least excited to watch, just because I think it's the least, there's the least amount of parity in it, is probably the Yankees-Royals. But I really want to watch Aaron Judge and Juan Soto together in the postseason for the first time.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's not a bad matchup here.
Yeah. Okay, you want my picks?
I want your picks.
Okay, so I needed to talk through all this so I could make my picks.
Okay.
So in the American League, the Yankees, no brainer. Like I'm not going to overthink that one. I'm not going to convince myself of the Royals. I think the Yankees are just the better team in all aspects. They're going to win.
Yep.
They're going to win handily. I think it could be a sweep.
Okay.
I think the Guardians end up pulling it out just because I think they've got a little bit more star power in the lineup with Jose and Naylor than the Tigers do. So even if the overall Tigers maybe, I would say the lineups are kind of equal.
Okay.
And with their starting pitching and bullpen, I think I have to give them the edge. But it's going to be close. It's going to be a 4 or 5 game series.
Okay. Pick one. 4 or 5.
I'll say 5 game series.
5 game. Yeah. Okay. And the Guardians take it.
Guardians take it.
Okay.
And then in the National League, I'm going with the Padres.
Okay.
To append the Dodgers.
How many games does that series go?
That one feels like it's got another 5 game series.
6. It's going to Padres in 6.
They wanted to play an extra game.
Yeah.
And then I am going to just throw out a crazy one. I think the Mets are going to do it, even though obviously, I agree that on paper, like the Phillies are kind of the team to beat. The Mets are going to keep their magic going, and
are they going to have Grimace at a game?
Grimace is going to probably pitch game 2.
Well, Grimace has to be at Citi Field, so I think he'll pitch game 3.
Game 3, okay, fine. Yeah, I don't know. That's my big upset pick.
Okay,
the Mets win it.
And then in the championship series,
I'll go Padres and Yankees.
Okay, World Series,
Yankees.
Yankees.
Yep.
How many games?
6 games.
So I have this World Series going to 7.
Okay.
And the Padres pull it out. It's going to be the complete opposite of 1998. I guess technically the complete opposite would be the Padres sweep.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a long series. They're going to trade blows. It's going to be fun. Obviously, I've already made my picks for everything else, but I think games-wise, I think the Royals might take 1 game against the Yankees. Yankees win it in 4. I do think it's a 5-game series in Cleveland and Detroit. I do still have Detroit winning. I think the Padres and Dodgers. I'm going to say it's 3-1 Padres, game 4.
All right.
And then the Phillies, I think, are going to get the only sweep.
Oh, you're going for a sweep?
I'm going for the sweep.
All right.
It's probably a hot take to pick a sweep, but I'm picking it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the Mets just totally running out of steam after all they've gone through at the end of the year.
But either way, it's still a hot take to pick a sweep no matter what the situation is.
Yeah.
So, like, if anything, I should be picking the Yankees to sweep the Royals. But,
well,
all right.
We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll be totally wrong. We very well could be.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
So I'll be up north of the border for a lot of this. So I might see if there's a way that I can watch party it on Twitch if we want to watch party any postseason games while I'm speaking French.
That'll be something to watch.
S'il vous plaît. Oui, oui. Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for hanging out with us on this very long podcast, but it was very overdue, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts on the 4 series that just finished up, on the 4 series that are about to start here for the division series. What are your picks for the postseason? YouTube comments, tweet at us, send me a carrier pigeon. Thank you very much, and we will be back soon with basically an update on everything that's happened for the non-postseason teams. So thank you very much. We'll see you next time. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.